Hello, everyone. I'm Daniel here from Tatum. With me, I have Shiv, and you're going to be hosting today Diego from Lumia. This said, handing over the floor to Diego because we're excited to hear more about you, what you do at Lumia, and the things you've been working on. So, handing it over to you.
Hi guys, thank you for having me here. I'm Diego Grassano, Chief Product Officer at Lumia. So I take care about all the products that we have, and we are building a lot for real world assets. My previously I was working on a venture capital as a researcher, and earlier was working at a private fund in Italy. So I have some background in traditional finance that is really helping right now for us to figure out the future of tokenization of real world assets.
That sounds amazing. And speaking about real world assets, this is a topic that me personally I'm really excited about because I think it's the most democratizing element of crypto that will allow me, for instance, being based in Portugal, or Shiv being based in India, to access, let's say, assets that are from the US, real estate, stocks, you name it, everything, right? And I wanted to ask you specifically about Lumia because I know you guys really are working hard on this specific subsect of crypto, but I really wanted to understand what is Lumia doing, how you guys are differentiating yourselves from the other competitors in the market because there's a lot of RWA chatter. Sometimes it's hard to really distinguish what people are doing, and I'm really curious to hear more about Lumia specifically.
Yes, so I absolutely agree with you. Nowadays, everyone is becoming an RWA blockchain, RWA application, because obviously it's something that really makes sense for the industry. We have been trading meme coins, governance tokens without much value. Now it's time to bring something that actually worth something to the blockchain. So at Lumia, we are building the first full cycle blockchain for tokenization of real world assets. But what do I mean with full cycle? So we take care of the process from tokenization to distribution. So this means that we have a set of application on our blockchain that will allow you to tokenize in a compliant way in any jurisdiction. So we will even talk with jurisdictions of countries where assets need to be tokenized. We will help conversation in this. We will take care about the whole process, so KYC facilitation, etc. But then it comes the part of injection of the real world assets within the DeFi ecosystem. So with this I mean that all the DeFi primitives that you already know, it can be lending, it can be perpetuals, it can be stable coins, decentralized stable coins, all of these brought to real world assets. So this means that your real world asset will have a further value and use case that normally it wouldn't have in the real world, or normally in the current situation of the RWA blockchain industry, you can't find a lot of applications for this type of assets. Usually it's just a matter of sending the asset from one wallet to another, participate in simple yield programs. We want to expand this a lot and give a lot of further use cases to the real world assets on the blockchain.
And I mean, that sounds really exciting, even for me, because I think one of the things that I've been really thinking about in my life is that how much opportunity I missed by not being physically present in the US. And I think you do as well. Shiv does as well, because the US is obviously the biggest economy in the world, right? But the same is valid for many other economies that may have opportunities there, and we just need a better way to access them, right? But my question for you here would be, how soon can you expect kind of these products to arrive on chain? Because I do know there are some products on chain right now. There's some tokenized stocks out there. There's some opportunities out there. But from having one or two products available to having a full RWA economy on chain, how far are we from that? And how long do you think it's going to take pretty much?
Okay, so regarding this, we have many builders that are building this kind of products on our blockchain. So everything is coming soon. We will be happy to set up this in a way that when people will come and tokenize on our blockchain, they will already have all these products available. So opportunities will already be there. So this is the process that we are looking into for tokenization of real world assets. So we know that at the moment there is not much on this side. So we are looking at what there is right now, and we are looking at how we can improve it and expand it. We have our own ideas. So, for example, we don't just take care of the tokenization of real world asset itself, but we also help, for example, companies, traditional finance companies, real world companies, to add a segment of blockchain into their current and existing products. So, for example, if there is a company that could benefit from bringing to the blockchain some part of their data or anything that their company deal with, we can offer, for example, Lumia Infinite, which is which entails the possibility to run a blockchain with any kind of stack. So it can be OP stack for layer 2s, ZK stack, totally customizable. So this means that you can literally customize access, customize the whitelisting, any kind, customize the sequencer rules. So any segment of the blockchain can be customized with our Lumia Infinite. So this means that we can onboard governments, we can onboard companies to bring their assets, their data to the blockchain, and to make it interoperable with the rest of the blockchain ecosystem that we already know. So we mix the access to real-world assets with the access to the blockchain, we merge them, and we increase the opportunities for both the sides.
Before I hand it over to Shiv, that's a fascinating view to it, because we're going to pretty much kind of tokenize everything, really. But I just want to challenge you with one question. So how long do you think we're going to have pretty much a government coming in and wanting to tokenize all government services, all identity services and everything? How long until that happens?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I can't give you the answer, but I can tell you that it's coming. Like, this is actually something that is happening. We are discussing right now. It's coming for sure.
Cool. That's very exciting. Shiv, I guess it's your turn now, because I know you have a lot more technical questions and you're the guy to answer that, to ask them.
No, definitely. I guess we'll jump on those things a bit later as well. Though I was few things that I really got when you were speaking, Diego, like about the KYC compliance layer and the DeFi use cases. Let's say having the stocks and maybe like lending out your stocks to have some like yield generating opportunities there and stuff like that. I think we'll talk about these in a bit more as well, and also the Lumia Infinix part, I guess, as you mentioned, on what really is and how it does it technically. But before I go there, I just had a kind of like a fundamental question, right? Or more like this ideological questions. Like you often hear people in the space saying, not your keys, not your crypto, right? A very similar ideology in the traditional markets is like not your papers, where you don't hold the stocks papers and not really your stocks as well. And I'm pretty sure this would apply to, let's say, the real estate use cases and stuff like that. So I'm just curious, what do you think about that? How that could be solved? Like there's some players who back it or kind of like are custodians, but what do you generally think about this ideology?
Okay, yes, so this is a challenge definitely for all the builders in the RWA space to actually merge the papers with the keys in the sense that
Yes.
on the centralized side we have the necessity to make sure that everything is there, all the stocks, all the traditional finance instruments are held by a trusted custodian, while on the blockchain side we need to make sure that every entity will hold their real world assets in a trustless way. So how do we deal with that? For example, we have this product that is called RWA tokens. RWA tokens are a synthetic version of stocks of traditional finance instruments that you can find on any traditional finance broker. Okay, So what we are doing here is to partner with this traditional finance broker to literally decentralize their liquidity. How does it work? When someone will come to us to request an order, for example, for a Tesla stock, an Apple stock, but it can be a commodity. For example, on some major traditional finance broker, you can find thousands of assets, thousands of traditional finance assets. We can bridge all of them to the blockchain. So when someone will come to us to ask for a trade for this type of assets, we will mint a synthetic version of them, and then we will go to hedge the user position on a traditional finance broker in order to keep the exposure. Obviously, our account on the traditional finance broker will be audited continuously by multiple entities to let the decentralized users be sure that there is something backing the actual token on the blockchain. This token will be transferable in a completely trustless way, so you will be able to swap them, to provide them as liquidity in a lending protocol or in an AMM pool, do perpetuals. You will be able to perform a lot of interesting actions with your tokens, while they will always be backed by the counterparty in a traditional finance broker. Yeah.
Right. No, sounds good, I guess. So until we get the governments and the stock exchanges like probably adapting to the blockchain system and maybe like listing these, let's say, properties or maybe having the property record straight on blockchain, this is, I guess, the best way to handle it, right? Where you have, let's say, kind of a trust layer, but a very like branded layer who we could see their audit reports and stuff by the known auditors and kind of go with that. So yeah, no, that's pretty good. I just was interested when you mentioned that you guys work with the brokers, right, to have these tokens to back it. Is it also going to be possible for these brokers to be like a issuer on the Lumia chain, and let's say they are a verified Lumia issuer and they can list all their tokens, or it's just going to be by the foundation?
We are working toward making this the next step, the next evolution of RWA tokens. Initially, we will edge on the traditional finance brokers because also for them this is a kind of a pilot. This is completely new for them. They are keen to work on this. They see the value. We have many discussions with top tier traditional finance brokers regarding this. All of them are really interested and are looking into the industry. Obviously, they are very careful because they have strong names in traditional finance, and the first goal of all of them is to not put a bad light on their names. So that's
100%.
why we come to them with a plan, a solid plan, studied from all the perspectives, technical and legal perspective, that they like. So that's how we are bringing these WA tokens to the blockchain, these real world assets, literally all the financial assets that you can find on a traditional finance broker.
Yeah.
Just let me jump in real quick because I
Yes,
have
please.
another question. So, Diego, I imagine you and your team, and you told us you typically help as well with the sales process. I imagine the entire team is involved as well. But what is the biggest pushback in these conversations when we talk to the biggest players in the industry? Because we have those as well. I mean, not specifically to RWA, just in general about crypto. But I'm curious to hear on your side, what can you share about on their side, what's keeping them on the fence before jumping full on to this and really start a tokenization of everything, pretty much?
Okay, yeah. So definitely, they care about the legitimacy of the company. So obviously, we are ready always to show them all that they need. So they do their due diligence on the company. Other than that, it's just important for them the compliance. So obviously they have big names that they want to be respected. So this is pretty much the most the things that they care about the most.
And what geographies do you see it people more interested or more eager to jump into this? I guess that's another one that I was curious to ask.
Okay, so we definitely see governments like in UAE, Abu Dhabi, they are really pushing strong toward the blockchain adoption. So we certainly know that they will be the first ones to actually adopt in an effective way the blockchain technology. We are also seeing USA government being interested in blockchain developments, starting to adopt here and there this technology. Sometimes in weird ways, like launching meme coins, but. Overall, we see interest in the whole world about this adoption. Probably Europe is the slowest in this process, as it always happens.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by your answer, to be honest, on
As we
everything.
call it, Europe is the compliance layer of the world, right? So always the last one, I guess. But yeah, I'll just maybe tie it back to the broker question that I had, right? Diego, you mentioned that you guys are working with these brokers and they obviously look for, let's say, the quality of the company that they're working with, whether they're a legit company or not, they have technical relevance and all of these things. But a lot of these brokers, and especially I'm talking about Robinhood, they're probably going to come up with their own chain, right? They're building their own L2, which is, I guess, on the Arbitrum stack, if I'm not wrong. And I was just thinking, like, you might have been talking to some brokers who might be interested in doing, let's say, their own chain and stuff like that. Is that like a case or a need that you have seen already?
Okay, so we actually spoke with many brokers, but the reality is that none of them is looking to build their own blockchain right now. Because it would add a further layer of complexity for them.
Exactly.
So, in most cases, they look into a company that already have all the knowledge about this industry, and they look into working with them. That's why our position is strong, because we really studied deeply how to bring real world assets to the blockchain. So when we have a conversation with a traditional finance broker, we can really show them how we can improve things for them in general, how can we bring more volume, more users, how can we open the gates of a literal new world to them. So this is something that take years to figure out, and all teams, etc. So we're always happy to help traditional finance brokers and companies and real world companies on this.
That's pretty cool. And by the way, I'm curious how you guys are handling, let's say, the off trading hours for these RWAs that's you're going to be having on the platforms, right? Like, let's say if I have a stock that I'm trading in the US markets, right? But I'm in India. I definitely do not want to wake up in my midnight. So how do I trade it like in off hours? And if you could also shed some light on how technically is that working? Like maybe you are working with some market makers to have like proper order matching and stuff there and so on. So if you can shed some light on this.
Okay, so in order to bring off hours trading to the blockchain for this kind of traditional finance assets like stocks, etc., commodities, what we do is to accept orders even when the traditional finance market is closed, add the spread to the orders. So this means that if the price will change when the market will open again, we will have a buffer that will still make us profitable or at worst even. So we study the buffer, studying the history of open market opening and market closing. So thanks to this buffer, we can offer trading even after hours, but still at the prices that you will find on the biggest traditional finance brokers. So since these brokers are really liquid, you can expect always the best price for execution.
That's pretty smart way to handle it. And I'm just curious, like if you guys are also looking to do like your own ledger where you could even map or like match these orders, right? Like imagine Daniel's selling Tesla at X dollars, and I have exact same order to buy at the same amount. Then you could even just match it here, right? Instead of waiting for the market open to close it. So is that something that you guys are also looking in, or is that on the
Yeah,
roadmap?
this is something that makes sense, and but will come later because at the moment we believe it's really enough and is a lot to offer liquidity one-on-one from these traditional finance brokers because they are obviously the most liquid avenues where to trade real world assets. Already this liquidity and this pricing will change the game in stocks and traditional finance assets trading on the blockchain.
That sounds good. That's about ECNs, right? So, what do you think about working with the ECNs, these electronic communication networks, which are used in the stock broking world, right? Like, there's already some brokers, like I know there is a broker called IND Money, which is in India, and they allow you to trade US markets, and you can also do like off hours for US markets, like which is open for like I guess 3 or 4 hours before the market opens, or maybe like 6 hours before the market opens, and after a few hours as well. And the way that those work, I was researching, is mainly using these ECNs. Is there plan internally to work with these ECNs because then you can facilitate like order matching in off hours as well, right? Without waiting to market to open. And
Okay,
totally
so
cool, like if this is not something that you would like to share on the recording version, right? Like it's fine, but just curious.
no, no, it's okay, it's okay. The beauty of the system that we built is that it can literally plug in every centralized source of trading. Even the type of brokers that you are mentioning, we can integrate them and decentralize their liquidity one on one. So there is really no limits for us. Once we will have some of them aggregated, we will simply route the decentralized user orders to the one that has the best pricing, the best execution, to the one that has trading open with order matching between users. Our system literally allow us to be really flexible on this and to adapt to any kind of future evolution of traditional finance assets trading.
That's pretty interesting. Cool. Now, before I dive into the technical set of the questions, I still have some of the kind of like boring business questions to clear. So I'll maybe jump in those. And they're specifically around the topic that we discussed at the start of the call, the KYC and the compliance layer. I'm just curious, like, how do you guys work with being compliant in all of these markets that you're working, right? Like, how does your KYC process or KYB, the know your business process, go with all these brokers and yeah, what regulations you're following and stuff like that?
Okay, that's an interesting question. We can split this question in two parts. The first part is the RWA tokens, the feature that I just described to you. In this feature, we perform the KYC on the broker side, and then we decentralize the assets and make them accessible without KYC in a fully permissionless way. But for some assets that are actually tokenized on the Lumia blockchain and they are not already existing on a traditional finance broker. So let's say, for example, you want to tokenize a piece of real estate, a land, a private equity, anything that you may like to tokenize, we will need to KYC you. Okay, you and the people that will access your assets. So we have KYC providers for this. There are many. The person that want to tokenize the company, the entity that want to tokenize, can choose between many KYC providers. Where we come in this is that when you finish your KYC process, the KYC provider will have all the data about your KYC. Obviously, we don't want to bring this data to the blockchain for everyone to read them.
100%.
Yeah, so we calculate an hash of the data of your KYC. We store the hash on a ZK database. So when an application will request for the data of your KYC, first thing you will not need to perform the KYC again because all the data will be available. Second thing, you will allow who you want to access the data of your KYC. By signing a transaction, you will allow, for example, a lending protocol to access data about your documents, etc. If it's a permissioned lending protocol. So it works this way. We make sure that KYC data is accessible easily for protocols that needs it, but still we keep it completely private. So for the user, no information is ever leaked to other users if we don't want.
That's pretty neat. And I was just curious around there. So you mentioned that, let's say, or let's take a real world use case as well for this real world asset example, right? So imagine I want to put my land in India as a real world asset or a RWA on your chain, and obviously there's like no official way to do it, right? There's no like land brokers and stuff. So in that case, your KYC compliance layer or the partners you're working with, they would verify who I am, they would do my all KYC, they would verify I own this piece of land. And then, if I'm not wrong, I am the one who deploys this contract, or it's you who deploys this contract for the asset.
Okay, so it depends. Mostly, it will be you that will deploy the contract. We will facilitate you with the tools that we offer to deploy contracts of the token. So we will offer the whole guided process to onboard you. So we will let you mint, we will let you provide all the information legally needed for the legitimacy of this real world asset. Then we will eventually facilitate a conversation with the regulatory entity from your country, from the country where the tokenized assets are. So obviously for this operation, it needs to worth it from an economical standpoint. So obviously we can't tokenize a pack of cigarettes because you will need to verify to do all the legal process behind it, and this wouldn't worth it because the legal process is expensive. So these will get cheaper later, probably once the regulation will be more clear. But as of now, we have to pick the assets that worth to tokenize and have them on the blockchain and facilitate them for the real world asset owner.
You mentioned that I'll be able to deploy the contract, and probably then I'll be able to manage the whitelisting, like who can buy this and not, and all that kind of aspects as well, right? So I'm just curious, is this like only in user's hand, or is this something where the KYC entity comes in as well, right? Because I might be willing to whitelist someone who is not in my country and kind of like keep it global, but maybe it's not allowed as per my compliance and stuff like that. So is this where you would use the compliance layer as well, or how does that go? Because I have deployed, so technically on chain it should be my right, fully. Or
It is actually your right as the deployer and the owner of the assets. Obviously, you will need to comply in the sense that, you will need to do a proper whitelisting process, and this is facilitated by dedicated token standard on our blockchain. Since we are fully EVM compatible, there are some token standards that are tailored to whitelisting and permissioned access. It will be on you to take care of this, obviously, because you want to comply to have assets that are legally backed by in a compliant way.
yeah, so it's probably like once I launch my token, I work with the KYC entities to ensure that I whitelist only the people who can legally be whitelisted, right? Like I don't keep it open or something like that.
Correct. The thing is that after KYC will be done, the KYC data will be connected to your address. At this point, you will need just the address in order to do the whitelisting process and not further data. So by having the address, the system will be able to verify automatically if all the KYC data will respect what you are looking for.
Sounds good. And do you guys also have this kind of like identity and user mapping or something like that? Because let's say if I list my land and I want to allow some certain users, do I have like a identity verification SDK or something like that that I can use, or do I need to know the addresses when I'll be
Okay, so we
whitelisting
will
someone?
have we will have a platform that will include all of this process. So it will be easy and guided for users. We know that people can't just go on the blockchain and start to mint tokens directly. So there will be a whole guided process from the start to the end. So from uploading all your information about your company or your assets until the actual minting of the asset, where you will find your asset on the blockchain. You will be able to manage whitelisting and the whole process.
So all of this said, between compliance, business challenges, market challenges, and competition, really, because there's competition as well. So you, Diego, building Lumia at the moment and working with Lumia to really grow it and make sure it works. So what has been the biggest challenge so far? And really, how do you see the next 2, 3, 4 years going for Lumia? If you could just give us kind of just a quick overview of what are the biggest, what have been the biggest challenges in the past, and what are the challenges you'll see coming in the future.
Okay, so definitely a big challenge is to be regulated and to be legitimate in the eyes of the big traditional finance companies, because we obviously need to talk with them in order to bring the real world asset world to the blockchain. So we are tackling this challenge by talking with many governments in order to be regulated there. We are about to announce something really interesting. I can't share much about this, but we are definitely going in the right direction for this. And while for the future, I would say that we can really think that we can bring the whole real world asset, the whole real world asset panorama to the blockchain, in the sense that all the assets can be on the blockchain, all the companies can have a blockchain functionality enabled. We can help basically the old world with the new technology that we can offer in many different ways. So we aim to tackle this way, to eventually have a set of interconnected protocols and blockchains that cooperate. Everyone has his own rules, but all of them are interoperable and communicate, because interoperability is obviously something that will help everyone grow.
Right, but I guess that's a challenge across the board, because even just recently when our team was at Consensus, I think the biggest talk from the past 2 years at all the conferences I've been at have been interoperability, right? Because we went from everyone trying to build their L1 and trying to make it work as an island. I guess people realized quite quickly in the past 3 years that if you're going to work on an island, it's not going to work. So our blockchain better be able to communicate with others, and we better be able to interact with other ecosystems, right? So I guess that's not simply a challenge for Lumia and RWA, it really is a challenge for everyone in the space. But when it comes to RWA, the way I see it is that I want, as a user, the way I see it is that I want all of those platforms to really work with each other, right? Because you guys might be offering something that other platform might not be offering, right? And I want to still be able to use two in a way that can communicate with each other, right? So, but again, I think that ties down as well to the user experience issues in crypto, which they're still big, right? But hopefully we'll solve them in the next few years.
Yeah, absolutely. So interoperability is a challenge that we had in mind from the very start, because obviously we see that it's this fragmented world where all the siloed blockchain can barely communicate. There is no composability across blockchain, can't work in the future. So how we are tackling this is with chain abstraction. So thanks to cross-chain messaging protocols like Hyperlane, we can allow to abstract totally the blockchain and to have just a normal user experience where the user will go and buy an asset, lend the asset, borrow the asset, without wondering on which blockchain this is happening. Another tool that we are using for this is account abstraction. So we know that we can't ask the next billion users to figure out a private key a seed phrase. All of this is something that is completely broken in crypto UX. We can improve this. We are improving this with account abstraction. So we will have passkeys. We will have social logins. We already have these technologies ready on our blockchain to be used. So this improves drastically the user experience for new users, because crypto users are already used to this. But if you go to the middle-aged person, it's impossible to ask to figure out private keys. It's just too much. So we have this sorted.
Absolutely, Diego, and not just impossible to figure out, because I have the perfect example at home, right? So my dad is very interested in blockchain and Bitcoin. Like, he has been following up the journey for the past 5, 6 years. But when I think of him using on a daily basis the product on the blockchain, or any product, forget about specific blockchain, I can just not picture him doing it. And the reason why he cannot do so is not because he really doesn't understand it, because he understands it. It's because it's too much work. And we have to understand that the only way we're going to be able to onboard the next cohort of people, which you said it yourself, probably a little bit older, it's not because, well, some probably don't understand, but a lot of them is simply because they're too comfortable in their own banking apps and they're too comfortable managing what they know, right? So the only way we can bring those people on board is if those apps, they feel easier than what they know, right? So yeah, I guess I just wanted to end on that note, because it is definitely a challenge, and I see it as at home with someone that really would want to dive into this but simply won't bother, because that's the reality for a lot of people.
100%. Totally agree.
This is like a perfect bridge to like the technical segment as well, because I wanted to start by talking and asking through the Lumia wallet that you guys have, right? I think we already talked about like how it supports account abstraction, has multi-chain support and stuff like that. I'm just curious, like, and sorry for not having to try it yet, but do we also have bridge support in the wallet, where let's say I can bridge the assets just in the wallet and move the assets around the chains?
Yes, definitely. We will have this opportunity, because obviously a lot of our users will come from other blockchains where they are maybe tired of trading meme coins.
Yes.
So we definitely have functionality like this in the wallet to onboard the people, not just from other blockchains, but also with on ramps. From fiat, credit card, bank transfers, we will be able to onboard any kind of user. Accessibility is definitely an important point for us.
100%. I mean, like before I jump into the next tools, I think I'm pretty convinced that you have been trading meme coins in the past, because you referenced them several times. Was that the case?
Not really, not really. I'm not really into this. I'm more into building, so I just go and build and build. I don't really do trading. I just hold the Lumia till death.
That's great. That's great. Awesome. Like few other things that we could talk about was on the chain side of the thing. So I wanted you to maybe give a good idea about what Lumia Streams is. I think we have already talked about it in the fundamental side of the things, but maybe if you can technically speak about what Lumia Streams is, what it does for our audience.
Okay, so Lumia Stream is our liquidity product. So this means that all about liquidity within Lumia is in Lumia Stream. So we can divide Lumia Stream into three main products. One is services for RFQ and Doge auction. How does this work? So this works in a way that we are offering quotes for trades to aggregators and Doge auction systems like 1inch Fusion, 0x, CowSwap. So these are the main distribution channels in DeFi, right? They are integrated in all the wallets, all the applications. Wherever you want to trade, usually you will find your route through 1inch. Or through 0x. So what we do is both for crypto assets and real world assets is to provide quotes and prices for these assets to aggregators Then users from aggregators will be able to access prices literally from centralized sources of trading, both for crypto, so from Binance, OKX. If there is a price for a crypto asset on Binance, you will have it on 1 inch, one-on-one, thanks to us. Same goes for real world assets, thanks to our second product in Lumia Stream, RWA tokens, that I already mentioned earlier. So with RWA tokens, we can literally bring the whole liquidity from traditional finance assets to these aggregators. So this means that you go on MetaMask Swap and you want to buy some real world assets or some crypto assets with prices from CEXs, we can offer you this. This system is pretty unique because it helps to bridge the place where the biggest chunk of liquidity is, because we know that for crypto assets, still the most of the liquidity is sitting on centralized exchanges. Obviously, for real world assets, this is even stronger because the whole liquidity is there. So we are taking care of bridging this. Another product that we have on Lumia Stream is Hyper Yield. So this is a yield product. So we know that many real world assets offer yield. For example, private equity can offer a yield.
Yes.
Some stocks can have dividends.
Dividends, yes.
So exactly. So we want to unite these yields plus the DeFi yields to offer some yield products, very safe, audited, etc., composable. So you will be able to have a receipt of your position, liquidity position within the protocol, and use it in other DeFi applications. So this is because obviously why often people face the blockchain industry because they are looking for yield. So we want a solid yield product and simple to use and to face for any user.
That's pretty awesome. And I guess if I like summarize it well, then so the first one is the quotes, obviously, which gets the prizes, I guess, across all these different players as well who wants to exchange. And then you have RWA product. And the final one that you mentioned was what was the name of it? You gave a name as well.
Hyper Yield.
Hyper yield, yes. And the third one that you mentioned was hyper yield. I'm very interested about the hyper yield one because like this is the case where let's say anyone can buy stocks in a different country, or maybe they could buy let's say a apartment or a property in a different country, and this might be yielding them something, right? Like with the stocks dividend as you mentioned, and probably with the apartments the rentals and stuff like that. So you're not just allowing people to buy these assets, but then you're also getting that yield from all these channels and distributing it back to them via the streams product, if I'm not wrong.
That's entirely correct. So we create vaults in this product. This vault will contain a basket of assets. It can be real world assets, it can be crypto assets, as long as they provide a solid and real yield. So we are not looking into farming of governance tokens in these points or whatever, but we'll actually have real yields for the user where they will be able to just deposit in a vault, and we will take care of curate the vault and make sure that the opportunities are always the best in terms of yields and security.
Awesome. I guess we have talked about one of like most of the core products and ins and outs of Lumia. One thing which I'm not sure if you would want to go, but maybe we can talk something about the Lumia Hub. Like you definitely mentioned it's going through a revamp, so feel free to shed off those details. But generally, if you would like to give an overview to our audience on what Lumia Hub is and yeah, what it would help people to achieve.
Okay, so the Lumia Hub is our product to onboarding real world asset owners to tokenize the real world assets on Lumia chain. So this will entail the whole process from the provision of documentation, setting up all the details for the future token minting, so whitelisting, supply, mechanism behind the token, and then until the actual minting of the token. So the whole process will be here, but the hub will also allow other possibilities, so some AI interactions to interact with the whole Lumia system, dashboards to see the progresses and your current statistics within the Lumia ecosystem and the Lumia products. So it will be the actual hub for all Lumia users to tokenize and to perform any other type of action within the Lumia ecosystem.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So users don't have to be really bothered about how they would carry all this process, right? Or maybe it's like not to be worried about where their, let's say, the KYC status is or something like that when they're working. So everything is on this hub. They can just sign up or come to this hub platform and do all the process from starting a request to tokenize something to really getting it tokenized.
Exactly, that's correct.
That's pretty awesome. I guess before we maybe jump into the summarization of our conversation and things how people can build on Lumia, like Tatum is one of the RPC node providers as well there. I just have one more technical question here, which is like, I think Lumia is built on top of Polygon CDK, right? If I'm not wrong. If you
Correct.
can tell me your let's say your arguments or maybe like the decision, like why you chose, let's say, Polygon CDK instead of, let's say, the OP stack, or maybe building on top of ARP stack and stuff like that.
Okay, so when we were deciding which type of stack to build our blockchain, we saw the ZK technology as our best opportunity to create the product that we wanted to have. Why? Because it allows real trustless for like settling transactions on Ethereum. So this can be obtained only via ZK. OP stack don't allow this currently. Because there is always fraud proof, 7 days waiting for bridging. So this couldn't work very well with our approach. So we decided for ZK to build a ZK rollup. And we decided to work with Polygon because their stack was pretty complete and they are really supportive on this. So it was a pleasure to work with them on this. Not just this, we are actually actively expanding the Polygon CDK in collaboration with Gateway FM. For example, we are going to push to mainnet pessimistic proofs that will allow us to have way faster finality and TPS. Why? Because instead of pushing a ZK proof for every block to Ethereum mainnet, we will do a ZK proof just for blocks when someone will contest a transaction. Okay, so when this will happen, we will have a ZK proof. Otherwise, we will act more like an OP stack blockchain. This allows us to push TPS and finality a lot higher, while still keeping the system fully trustless, because every time it will be needed, we will be able to generate a ZK proof.
That's awesome. And just for my knowledge, you mentioned that when someone will be challenging the data that has been broadcasted, then you would push it on Ethereum layer. Is that correct?
What will happen is that if someone will challenge a transaction or a block, we will actually create a ZK proof for this block. So that instead of having a committee to judge if the transaction was fair or not, we will actually have ZK technology, so mathematics to verify this.
Yes, for sure. That's pretty awesome. Cool.
Well,
I guess like we are good with all the questions, so maybe like we can jump in the summarizing of the conversation side
yeah,
of the house.
I just had one more question for Diego, a little bit more around Lumia, the company. How is it organized? Because again, to set this up, I talked to a bunch of people on the team. I got under the impression that everyone was based all over the place, right? And Diego, you're from Italy. Right now, you're speaking to us from Tenerife. But if you can tell us just a little bit more about Lumia on itself, like what does it take for you guys to be building this? How big is the team? Where are you guys based? How many people? That would be amazing just for us to understand and know and compare to others in the industry.
For sure, we are definitely a really decentralized team in the sense that, for example, I'm in Italy. Some people is in Miami, some people is in other part of US, some people is in UK, some people is in Asia. So we are really decentralized and we cover pretty much the whole planet. So we are more or less 50 people in the team, mostly technical team, because we are building a lot of products. So we need to have a bigger focus on product and tech.
100%.
Yeah, but we also have a strong marketing and business development team that is pushing for adoption of our products.
I'm not surprised the product manager said you need a bigger technical team.
Yeah,
So Shiv will
yeah,
agree with you. Let's get more technical people on board.
Exactly.
But yeah, again, I think that's the issue with not the issue, but that's just the case with everyone in the industry. Um, and yeah, I
Awesome.
think that pretty much covers it. And Diego, I just wanted to end with a little anecdote because this is kind of quite a funny story, but this actually happened internally, and Shiv can confirm. So a few weeks back, when we were kind of discussing chains to add and all like that, Lumia was there. But on the list, we also had Linea, right? And Linea, for some reason, was higher in the list of priority. And it just happens that from our technical team, someone misheard our product director say Lumia instead of Linea. So that's the story behind on how we were able to just pretty much ship and make Lumia available so quickly, pretty much for devs to come in and build through Tatum, right? But I just wanted to end with that funny story because we were going to support you guys either way. It just happened faster because of this little blip that happened internally. So I thought that was just an amazing story, and everyone laughed during all hands. So imagine 70 people just cracking, laughing. That was the legit process on how this happened. And Shiv can confirm, by the way.
Well, that was the unfortunate truth because obviously we would love to have Lumia like as soon as possible as well. But yeah, did happen, I guess.
Absolutely. Lumia was on the list, as I was saying. But again, it's just funny things that happen internally. And this to say, feel free, and now I'm talking to the devs and everyone that wants to build on Lumia, feel free to go on Tatum, check out what you can build with us, to register, play around. So I think Tatum is undeniably one of the best options for people just to come in, build, connect to the blockchain, and just explore it. I think our offering is very compelling in the market right now, and we're just thrilled to support Lumia right now, and thrilled to be collaborating and doing things with you, and thrilled to be listed, of course, as a partner in your official documentation. So if you're looking to build on Lumia, feel free to check Tatum, feel free to build with us, and do amazing things on the RWA space.
If we can just summarize the discussion and say what Lumia is, that would be nice. Like I can give an example and then we all can do it. Would be nice to have these different versions, right? So if I try to summarize the conversation we had and what Lumia really is, then Lumia is building, let's say, this whole ecosystem where any asset across the world can be tokenized, and you also are building this compliance layer where you ensure that these assets which are on chain are all compliant. You're working with the legal bodies, with the brokers, let's say if it's about stocks and stuff like that, to ensure that all these assets listed on chains are compliant. For the custom RWA asset which are going to be listed on your platform, like let's say it could be real estate and stuff like that, you're working with their compliance layers as well. You're working with the owners who have these assets to determine who they want to sell this to and stuff like that. And to achieve this in a very like robust way, you are having all of these tools like Lumia Streams and your Lumia Hub, which is currently going through a very big and nice revamp, and Lumia Wallet, right? And obviously you have tools like Tatum which have RPCs to build on top of Lumia. So if I summarize, this is what Lumia is and what it enables people to do, right?
That's entirely correct. Yeah, there will be always something to add because our list of products is
Exactly.
endless. But
And and that's why I would love to have your version as well, Diego. Maybe we can take this like a small 30-second snippet, right? So, yeah, Diego, if you can tell us what Lumia is and in 30 seconds and summarize our conversation we had today.
Okay, so Lumia is an ecosystem of products and tools to bring RWAs globally to the blockchain. With this, in this set of tools, is include KYC compliance, tools for liquidity unification, interoperability, account abstraction, so all the tools to facilitate the onboarding of the next billion users to the blockchain and to use cases for real-world assets that were not there before. Also, Lumia is built on Polygon CDK in order to ensure the most trustless environment for execution of real-world asset operations. So we have been strongly supported by Polygon, so I wanted to give a shout out to Polygon as well.